What's up guys, Big M here, I'm a former British paratrooper, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the arms race from a Russian perspective. I'm excited. If you are too guys and you like what you see, please consider hitting that like and subscribing to this channel. It's free and it massively helps me out. Let's get into it.
On March the 1st, President Putin announced a new generation of weapons vastly superior to anything developed around the world.
Okay, so this video was back in 2018, so things might have changed since, but I just want to bring this video to light. Last week, the video we showed the infographics one, which was kind of heavily biased towards the United States. I thought I'd give this video to sort of balance out that bias as such and see from a different perspective how things could potentially turn out.
У России такое оружие есть.
A hypersonic system, an ICBM with unlimited range,
ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles with unlimited range. Quite a scary thought if it could hit anywhere in the world. Let's let that sink in. I don't think any other nation has those. Like I said, this video is 2018, so things might have happened in the last 3 years. In the comments below, let me know if there is anything I should be looking at.
weapons that can fly through dense layers of the atmosphere, a nuclear-powered cruise missile, underwater drones, a unique combat laser complex. That got everyone talking about an arms race and that deadly Russian missile. But from Russia's point of view, it's the one that feels threatened and wants to restore nuclear parity. So how does that?
Okay, so nuclear parity, just to clarify quickly in a nutshell, these two nations, Russia, United States, with nuclear parity want to have equal number of warheads or equal capabilities to always deter each other. So that's kind of what nuclear parity is in a nutshell. One nation would provide a set amount of nuclear warheads, the other nation would equal that amount to try and use it as a deterrent and prevent essentially a nuclear war. I personally think that war will never be nuclear anymore. You know, imagine if the United States launched all its nuclear warheads towards Russia, the counterattack would send it back to the United States and its allies, and you know, it would be complete Armageddon. So I don't think it'd be nuclear, the war. I would like to think it wouldn't, because I think that'd be the end of the human race. What do you think below, guys? Let me know.
That work? And what did Putin mean when he said,
Нас никто не слушал. Послушайте сейчас.
to be clear,
quite
nuclear
scary.
parity came as a result of an arms race. It was provoked by the first and so far only nuclear strike in history, when the US dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Estimates put the total number of casualties at up to 450,000.
And you got to think, like, that's back then. That's when it was first used, and these weapons were called were atomic bombs, A-bombs, and nuclear warheads since then have increased dramatically in both range and in lethality range. So, you know, if we're talking 450,000 casualties of just these bombings, you can tenfold that number now, maybe 100-fold it with the power that we have nowadays. It would just be Armageddon. If there was going to be a nuclear war, it'd be Armageddon. It really would. What do you think, guys?
By 1949, the USSR had its own nuclear weapon ready. By 1952, the US tested the first thermonuclear device. A year later, the Soviet Union followed suit. Both sides began to develop ballistic missiles in an attempt to get ahead of each other. The US installed nuclear weapons in Turkey, and the USSR put missiles in Cuba. It was followed by the Cuban crisis, which saw the world teeter on the brink of nuclear war, until Moscow and Washington realized there could be no winners. That's when the period of détente came about. By the early 1990s, it seemed the tension between the two countries was over. It was a time of promises, although some would prove empty over time. NATO famously promised Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev that it would not move an inch to the east.
Даже такие были выражения, как это было у Бейкера, у секретаря, что мы и на 10 сантиметров не двинемся в интересах НАТО или что-то.
Recently declassified documents on the 1990 negotiations proved Russia's account is accurate.
If we maintain a presence in a Germany that is part of NATO, there would be no extension of NATO's jurisdiction for forces of NATO 1 inch to the east.
There would be no effort to exclude anyone, and there would be no step taken at this time to push anyone ahead of others.
In 1994, the US changed its mind about expanding east.
We're going to move forward on this, but I'd never spring this on you.
But over the past 18 years, NATO's been joined by Hungary, Poland, the Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Romania, Slovakia, Albania, Croatia, Montenegro, as well as the former Soviet republics of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. NATO is now at Russia's doorstep. Here is an online meme on how Russia moved its country too close to NATO's military bases. Furthermore, the US moved its missile defenses closer to Russia's borders, another promise broken by Washington. In 2002, the US pulled out of the ABM treaty signed decades before when the Soviet Union was still in place.
Like, to me, like, all this tit for tat is just constant antagonizing and provoking each other. Ideally, this wouldn't happen, but it's just always trying to show who's got the best, who's more powerful. It's kind of mind-blowing.
What is missile defense? It enables one party to launch its own missiles and intercept any counterstrike. It could guarantee victory in a potential war. Of course, NATO and the US say their missile defenses are not against Russia, but against Iran and North Korea. But the locations tell another story. Missile defense installations were placed in Poland, Romania, California, and Alaska. They're also planned for Japan and South Korea. Missile defense ships patrol the seas close to Russian territory.
Создаются системы, элементы систем противоракетной обороны, что нас очень беспокоит, и мы постоянно об этом говорим в течение 10 лет. Это разрушает стратегический баланс в мире.
The balance is disrupted, and Russia, which hasn't ramped up its missile defenses like the US, is facing a deadly danger.
Вы же все понимаете, о чем идет речь.
So from this, what's happened is they wanted a treaty, they wanted nuclear parity initially to prevent nuclear war, to have that equal amount of nuclear warheads, to stop each other attacking each other. Then according with this video, America pushing their luck, installing these anti-missile weapon systems closer and closer and closer around Russian territory and sort of prodding them with a stick as such. At this point, Russia will then feel threatened. It feels like America's making moves to get advantage of that balance, to get rid of that balance, have that advantage over Russia. So I can understand why they might feel threatened here.
Чего молчите-то? Вы все молчите. Ситуация усугубляется. Ведь это подталкивает гонку вооружений. Новый виток создает. Это же очевидная вещь. Вот мы все время думаем, а как ответить? Мы думаем, совершенствовать систему, значит, преодоления систем противоракетной обороны. Вот это и есть виток гонки вооружений.
Russia says it was forced to come up with a weapon capable of bypassing missile defenses in order to restore nuclear parity. The Kinjal MiG-31 can launch hypersonic missiles that can travel at more than 10 times the speed of sound. Thanks to that,
10 times the speed of sound. That's horrendously quick. Russia are now trying to bring that balance back by making weapons that can counter all these American weapon placements all around them. So they're trying to, their reason for making these weapon systems is to sort of bring that balance and counter all these anti-missile defensive positions around Europe and California, like in the map showed us earlier.
That and their unpredictable trajectory, they are unstoppable. It's an unrivaled weapon. The US does.
Unrivaled weapon. It's an unrivaled weapon. Like I said, this video is 2018. So, you know, in the last 3 years, things may have been developed since. If you guys know any of the stuff that's been developed since, tag me or link me. Let me know below. I would love to check it out.
Doesn't plan to test its hypersonic weapon until 2019. The Avangard hypersonic vehicle can fly at up to 20 times the speed of sound. An ICBM will take it to an altitude of several dozen kilometers, from where it can dive headfirst back to Earth at top speed with aircraft-like maneuverability, dodging any missile defenses. In contrast, when other existing ballistic missiles re-enter the atmosphere, they fly at a preset trajectory, making them easy targets for ABM systems. Sarmat might...
So already from this video, we're seeing that it's a different tone from the infographics video from last week. Give it a watch and you can compare them and let me know your thoughts below. It's a different outlook on this video for sure, straight away.
Might seem like an ordinary ICBM, but its range is much longer. The legendary Topol-M missiles can only take the shortest route through the ABM systems. Sarmat can travel via the North or the South Pole where there's no missile shield, and it will still hit its target.
Unreal.
But most importantly, Sarmat is a heavy missile capable of carrying more than 20 warheads. That's 5 times more than previous generation missiles. The Burevestnik nuclear-powered cruise missile is a unique weapon. It's basically the same as an American Tomahawk. But whereas the Tomahawk's range is limited to 2,500 kilometers because of fuel constraints, Russia's new missile can fly indefinitely. It can...
That's unreal. So now we're talking about capabilities. Okay, so the last video, the infographic showed what would it be if Russia was to invade US soil, a massive dig against the Russians, but it didn't consider it left out all these facts about these types of weaponry, this type of technology. It purposely ignored that. Let me know your thoughts below, guys. I'm kind of mind blown with this. For something to fly indefinitely, how is that really possible? I know it says nuclear powered, but surely there must be a burnout rate. Surely.
Take any path to avoid missile defenses. Just like Poseidon underwater drones. Similar to the regular drones we're used to, except these are submarine launched and travel at incredible speeds towards their targets under the sea. They run so deep that no equipment can track them. Even if detected, their high speed prevents them from being intercepted. The new weapons can work together to neutralize any existing missile defense systems. Kinjal can destroy ground-based ABM systems. Poseidon drones take care of those at sea. Then, the Sarmat, Avangard, and cruise missiles can be launched towards their target, bypassing any remaining barriers. On top of that, there's also a combat laser complex, Paratrooper, which is unique because it almost instantly delivers an energy beam to a target and has an unlimited battle reserve. Developing new weapons is not a belligerent move, rather a move to restore parity. Perhaps this time the call for a balance of force and fair treatment all round will be heard.
Нас никто не слушал. Послушайте сейчас.
On March the
What's your thoughts, guys? The contrast is different from the last infographic video. Massively different. I thought I'd bring this to light. I thought it was a bit fairer to have both sides. But is nuclear parity restored? Personally, I think it will always be a competition. I think they're both always trying to beat each other. But let's consider some other nations as well. Let's consider China, North Korea. I wonder where they're at with the arms race. I would like to see more stuff on those too. So perhaps in the future we will dive into some of those videos if we can find some. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.